Hello, this is Jamie Clubb from Clubb Chimera Martial Arts. If you like the content of this vlog, please subscribe, like the channel, and leave a comment, please, below. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm not starting this one with the big question. You did notice that there wasn't an opener with what is the subject of this particular vlog. What I will tell you, it's afterthoughts from doing a morning training session. We are currently in a system of lockdown, so that will date this vlog a little bit. However, I want to continue these on because hopefully it'll motivate the people there. And when you look back on it as well, hopefully there'll be information that you'll find helpful. Anyway, I did my morning training session and decided there was a few thoughts that were going around my mind when I was training. I had to park them because obviously I had to focus on getting a good training session out of the way. I was doing intensive cardio, so really that is not a good time to allow cognitive thought to really interrupt. However, it did inspire me and I knew that I was going to do something and I wanted to get it out of my system. I am not wearing the top that I was training in, so hence the reason why there's not lots of sweat all over it, because I try not to be disgusting. I'm sitting in the chair that I like to work from on a regular basis when I'm doing my writing, when I'm recording my podcasts, when I'm writing my books, when I'm doing my accounts, etc. So I don't want that to get all disgusting. So I changed, obviously, cleaned and changed my t-shirt before this particular recording. Anyway, there wasn't any big question. I just want to say that ways to do your solo training. How do you organise your solo training? How do you organise the training for your students if you're a teacher? These are all questions that are coming into my mind. I was following a very good training coach, a very good boxing coach that I trusted. Boxing was a very simple, straightforward system for me to follow. First thing that I wanted to get out of the way. And I said to myself, I want to do some cardiovascular training. So I want to do, first of all, I want to get one session out of the way and I'll do my big training later on. Hopefully I will get to that big training. Moti tells us that training should be non-negotiable, so that is in my plans today. I did a nice big training session yesterday. It was quite an extended one. There was a lot of stuff I had to cover in that one. Today my idea is just to have had a short one and then later on hit a longer one. So anyway, I chose, so I said to myself, I need to do a cardio session that's going to help. So I wasn't going to do a 10-minute burst. It's important. Any sort of training you do is important. Don't get me wrong. Anything you do. If you've done no training all day and you just knock out a few press-ups, that's better than doing nothing. So I'm a big adherent to that. I'm a big adherent to micro workouts as well. And I do plenty of those myself. And that's another subject. But if I want to get some serious progressive benefits in my training, I need to do at least 20 minutes. I could do 30 minutes or 30 minutes plus, and a medium to low intensity, and also get benefits of training. But I've got things to do and I'm very time efficient. With the stuff I do, because I've got a lot of other responsibilities, a lot of other commitments. So I chose the 20-minute intensive routine. I could do one on my own, but I decided I want to follow someone else's, so that'll give me another challenge as well. Of course, when I'm training, I start looking at other people's training methods. They inspire me. There's things that I watch that they do that I agree with or disagree with. There's new things that I'm being introduced to, the new challenges. And sometimes there's other things that I'm not necessarily happy with, or they're not attached to my particular goals. This training routine was brilliant, by the way. It's precision striking. I highly recommend that you check them out. Really, really good boxing coach. And just looking at what he did and what's consistent with other really good coaches from different disciplines and different styles was the way he tapered his workout. That is keeping the simple conditioning exercises at the very end and the more technical stuff building up to early on in the routine. So there's a lot of coordination work fairly early on in the routine. And it keeps you going, and it's at a high intensity. I mean, that's the inspiration that you do, that he's following. That's his motivation. And if you want to do cardio for only 20 minutes, then you've got to go balls to the wall. You've got to go straight for it. So that's the deal. That's the deal. I mean, if you don't want to go so intensive, then that's fine, but you've got to keep doing it for a longer period of time. Personally, I do long training routines, technical routines, because sometimes I'm training within the framework of a fight, because I'm going to train people within the framework of MMA or boxing or Muay Thai. I need to be following that sort of time procedure that you would imagine a match to be. And also it's very good for mental endurance and all the other obvious benefits that come from that. But if I'm straight up just going, look, I want some cardio conditioning and I'd like to make it as specific as possible, then this is what I'm looking for, then a straight 20 minutes. So when you're designing your programs, my view is to start as technically as possible. Obviously, you need to get people warmed up to start with to make sure there's not going to be any injuries, to get the heart rate up, and to engage the brain. It's silly to go straight for something very complex very early on. However, it is important to get there as soon as possible before the cognitive functions start to deteriorate. So as your heart rate goes up, obviously the more stupid you become within a situation. This is what we teach in self-protection, it's what we teach in self-defense. And we should understand that when it comes to doing any form of physical activity. So I like to try and get the good habits, the fresh new techniques, the coordination work in early on, and then taper it down to conditioning at the end. And conditioning at the end is important. I think it's great to go for burnouts towards the end of sessions. Sometimes when I'm teaching people and we're doing something very much sparring based, very relevant with sparring, I like to get specific sparring going on early on, rather than having it always at the end of the session. I mean, the normal format of a martial arts lesson is warm up, technical work, drilling, then sparring, which is fine, and that works great, and I often follow that format. However, I do like to mix things up a bit, and I like to sometimes bring a lot of pressure testing early on. Or resistance-based work early on, but it's usually with the more specific areas when you're trying to develop a certain area. So if people are developing part of their game strategy, if they're developing certain techniques, or they're focusing on certain weaknesses, it's good to get some of that stuff early on, so you're more likely for those behaviours to be taken on board, for them, or those behaviours to stick, the good behaviours that is, and the bad behaviours not to stick later on. So, the more simple stuff tapered towards the very, very end, with whatever you're doing. So if you're doing a solo routine now, that's what I would generally try to follow, the procedure of technique, maybe speed work, and then power later on, if you're looking for specific technique development, or at least taper your training routine to be more complicated material earlier on, more coordination based, developing new behaviours material early on, and then towards the end of your training session, keep the exercises simple, keep them basic, the things that you're quite confident about people's form to do later on in the routine, in the program. So when you finish your session, and you've gone for that burnout, which I think is great, it's great mental conditioning, and it's a very important foundation skill. Again, keeping that stuff nice and simple. So that's just a quick reflection on my personal training and workouts in general, and also hopefully how it informs lessons. Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing your feedback or reading your feedback. Please leave a comment below. Thank you.